The problem with and solution for young men is so obvious, but nobody seems to have the guts to say it anymore. I see these even left-leaning influencers and talking heads talking about the problem with young men as if there was something that was once there that is now lost. And as a solution, they try to recapture what was lost and mix in some new stuff to make people happy. And I'm not just talking about the Joe Rogan manosphere MAGA men. Men on the left are just trying to carefully disconnect some old toxic masculinity from a new form, but they're still focused on a role. Young men have not lost anything. There was once a culture that told us exactly how to talk, dress, and do everything else for that matter. That may have been more comfortable for most men, especially because they were granted dominance, but it stripped away everything that makes you an individual. Everything from your hobbies to how you talk. Everything had to be a certain way, and if you didn't meet that, you'd probably end up as a drunk on the street eventually. The only individuality came from stepping on other people, beating them out in some way to prove that you're the best. But this just leaves most men never satisfied and exhausted. Men haven't lost anything. We've gained so much, we're just not embracing it. And when we finally have a generation that kind of does, millennials, society slams the door shut because they're afraid of change. See, just like women, men now have the ability to be anything they want. Well, women aren't all the way there, obviously, but you get my point. For many, if they told their parents they wanted to be an artist or musician in the 1950s, they'd probably be disowned. And all of this is masked in this fake nostalgia that's flooding social media. Look, I miss parts of the 90s too, but we're kidding ourselves if we think it was better. It was better for upper middle and upper class suburban kids, but nobody else. And even those kids were already facing a more bleak future than their parents. Race relations were in a horrible place. Everyone seems to forget about the LA riots. NAFTA was already taking people's manufacturing jobs, and the environment was awful. And even worse, obviously, the further you go back. I remember growing up as a kid in Southern California and coming in at the end of the day with my chest hurting because the smog was so bad. Bullying was horrible with the LGBT community facing the bulk of it. And the list goes on and on. We got to play Mario and stay out late, but what about everything else? The solution to this problem is so simple and it's twofold. First is to teach young men to find themselves and who they are as individuals. Allow them to explore paths without ridicule and with encouragement, especially from older men. And the second is actually another role, and that's the role of an ally. Allyship, standing beside and defending marginalized groups, gives men purpose and taps into that sense of heroism that we seem to long for. We were once on this path, but mostly Gen X men couldn't handle it. The overtly toxic masculinity of the 1980s has reared its ugly head again. But it's worse now because kids are getting influenced online and Donald Trump is our president. For us older men, we've got to get firm with other older men that are not allowing our young men the freedom to do this, whether it's on baseball fields or in your kid's class. Confront these men who are wreaking havoc and shift the momentum to make them feel small. It's not women's responsibility, it's ours. We once saw glimpses of a brighter world, but the Trump era has slammed it shut. The only way forward is to fight back aggressively. Not with violence, but with strength.